Why is it that the harder you work, the more exhausted you become? Because working hard isn't the actual problem. It's a setup to keep you hooked. Four pressures, some invisible, some not. And the first one we are going to illuminate is why working hard isn't working anymore. You're not exhausted because you can't handle it. You're exhausted because you do. And everyone knows it. And whether you want to admit this or not, you are contributing to your ride on Burnout Road. And this path, it has a dead end. Stick around because the magic you are looking for is in the inner work that you are avoiding. Pressure number one, working hard isn't going to help you anymore. You've always done it this way. You do the work, you pick up the slack for other people, you minimize your own contribution because that's just who you are. You don't brag. You master the details. You carry the team. You overfunction. You are prepared to put others ahead of yourself. And you don't really ask for what it is that you want because that would be selfish. Ultimately, you don't want to look bad. And you have this fear that if something fails, it's your fault. You just want to feel valued, told that you're doing a great job, and magically somebody showers you with praise, a corner office, and a huge paycheck, and maybe some extra time off. Nobody warned you that this would create burnout. You just thought this is the way it is. A great example of how your hard work gets used against you, you and your team. You spend weeks prepping for a high stakes meeting. You meet with senior leadership, share and rehearse for the big event. Your direct boss doesn't really like the direction, so offers some feedback. You and your team alter the presentation. You do the whole thing again. You're starting to feel relief because you think it's 99% done, and you're excited because you're about to take off some time with your family to recharge before the big event. But you have one more rehearsal, and the powers that be decide, you know what, you should go back to the original version. So what happens now? Well, you're pissed because weeks of time just got wasted. So do you cancel the vacation? Do you promise to catch up with your family in a couple of days? Do you ask the team to go back to the version that you created while you take time off? All the while you are feeling guilty and pissed at the exact same time. You know you are about to disappoint your family. You know you are about to disappoint your team. And it feels like no matter what you do, you can't win. So you prep your family that you might have to do some light work while you're on vacation. Sad faces. And then you go and softball it to your team. Tell them, you know what, it's really not that bad, you guys. We're going to be able to get this, shielding them from how upset you really are. And you try to shake it off because that's what responsible leaders do. And somehow, some way, you figure it all out. You compromise. You delegate what you can, and you take the rest with you on vacation, giving up some of your personal time. That's a survival strategy that you learned a long time ago. Do more, be more, produce more, manage the details, put everyone else in front of you. Don't speak up because you don't want to be labeled as difficult. It was the only way for you to stay safe in rooms that weren't built for you. It worked until it didn't, until the cost became higher than the benefit. And that's where you are right now. I know you have a need to shield your team, master every detail, to show up and do your best, to take the feedback so you can be better. And that's a brilliant strategy for keeping the job you have and keeping you on Burnout Road. But if you want respect, if you want to win, if you want to get credit for your work, that same way of showing up and performing is now working against you. Because the top leaders don't get promoted and respected for doing everything. They get promoted for knowing what to stop doing. And that's a completely different skill set, one that nobody taught you until now. Being aware of how your patterns are keeping you stuck is a key to getting you off Burnout Road. By the way, I'm Stacie Speaker. I have spent years coaching high-achieving women through exactly this scenario. And I know this game because I've lived it. and I am going to show you how to stop losing it. Now let's talk about pressure number 2, the invisible load. You know this one. Every day at the office, the work piles up, everyone comes to you because you can handle everything. And for some reason, you keep proving their theory, rationalizing that if you said no, no one would value you. So you keep saying yes, because it feels good to be needed. And again, you don't want to be seen as difficult or not a team player. Now it's the end of a long week, being only Tuesday. And so you go home or you walk out of your home office exhausted from another day, and it hits you instantly. The noise, the laundry, the, hey, what's for dinner? It's the second shift. And if you're married, you've got a partner standing there telling you, relax, while you're literally drowning. And if you're single, the weight is identical. It's just a solo mission with zero backup and nobody to notice the load exists. And if you're like me, once married and now divorced, you get help is just more work. Managing the person who is supposed to be sharing the load is still your load. You have to notice it, explain it, and follow up on it. You thought you were getting a partner and a partnership, but instead, it's a project management job that you never actually applied for. Thanks, husbands everywhere. The invisible load at home is uniquely exhausting. At work, at least there's a deliverable, a meeting, a result that you can point to. At home, there is no finish line, no performance review, no moment where somebody says, great job for carrying all of that. It just keeps going, and you keep going, because stopping feels worse than continuing, because who's going to carry all this? At work, they question whether you can lead. At home, they just assume that you will. Maybe you had conversations early on, negotiated the roles, talked it all out, but then somehow it all ended up landing on your shoulders. Nobody asks you if you're okay, or do you want to carry all this? Nobody voted. It was just decided. And you said yes, because you always say yes. Because isn't that what good women do, right? Nobody forced this on you. You volunteered. Because saying no meant letting somebody down. Because asking for help meant looking like you couldn't handle it. Somewhere along the way, you were taught that being needed was the same thing as being valued and respected. You can put down a laundry basket, but putting down the need to make everyone happy, yeah, that's a different story. And what's running in the background on that, and how you make every single decision, that's pressure number 3, the guilt trap. Now let's talk about our constant shadow, guilt. In psychology, guilt is actually designed to be useful. It's a secondary emotion, meaning it's constructed, it's not instinctive. Healthy guilt focuses on specific behavior. You did something that hurt someone, you feel bad. You go and you make it right, and then you move on. That's guilt doing its job, but that's not what we're talking about here in this video. What we are talking about, and what most women carry, is maladaptive guilt. That chronic, debilitating kind that has nothing to do with anything that you actually did wrong. This is the guilt that shows up when you say no, when you take a day off, and the next day you beat yourself up for taking a day off. When you dare to put yourself first for 5 minutes. You didn't do anything wrong, but your nervous system fires like you just committed a crime. This feeling guilty was built layer by layer over the years through being helpful. Don't push back, just handle it. You were taught to feel responsible for everything and everyone around you. And along the way, your value got tied to your willingness to carry the weight. Are you seeing the patterns and the habits that we are living in every day? My guess is that you've been doing this as long as you can remember. I know I have. So you do. You take it all on. You don't really complain, at least out loud, because what's the point? So everybody assumes that you're fine. And because you look fine, that list gets longer. You say yes to the extra project because you don't want to be labeled as difficult. You say yes at home just to keep the peace. You feel guilty for being tired, guilty for being frustrated, guilty for watching this video right now instead of doing something else for somebody else. The pressure builds and the burnout is on the horizon, staring at you right in the face. Every time you stay silent and shoulder all of it, you train people how to treat you. You've trained your boss that you will always fix the mess. You've trained your team that you will always be there for them. You've trained your family that your capacity is infinite. It's not. I know asking for help feels brutal because the guilt is real. It's debilitating. It's a painful feeling. And you've probably been told asking for help shows that you're weak. You can't handle it. Or worse, that if you get asked and then get denied, that denial makes you think that you're not worthy of the help. But let's be clear about what's actually triggering the guilt. You don't need guilt for feeling what you feel. You don't need guilt for thinking what you think. You don't need guilt for making your own choices in your own life. That is not what guilt is for. But you were made to think that somebody else's disappointment became your problem to fix. Their reaction to your need for something became evidence that you did something wrong. Their discomfort became your responsibility. That is not guilt doing its job. That is guilt being weaponized against you. And you've been so well trained to feel guilty that you can't tell the difference between their needs and yours. It is a deeply ingrained pattern to feel this way. And patterns are the only things we actually have the power to break. And the pattern that's the hardest to break is the one that the system built specifically to keep you spinning, quiet, and overworked. And here's a secret I want to share. Guilt doesn't operate alone. It teams up with your specific self-sabotage pattern. And that combination is what's really draining you. And until you know which pattern is amplifying your guilt, you're just managing symptoms. I have a free 2-minute quiz that will identify exactly which pattern is running the show for you. I'll drop it in the link at the end. Now let's get into pressure 4, the double bind. Every day, you have to thread an impossible needle. Be too soft, you're weak. Too direct, you're difficult. Lead hard, you're a bitch. Pull back, you're disengaged. In this system, there is no version of you that's just right. If you've seen Disney's Encanto, you know that Luisa, the sister who carries mountains while singing No Pressure, that is the performance required of you every single day, in the boardroom and in the living room. You are buckling and bending, but you're never allowed to break. When you're leading people, you carry something extra that most leadership books completely ignore. You feel personally responsible for your team's success, not just professionally, personally. If they struggle, you wonder what it is that you missed. If they fail, your inner critic says that's on you. You stay up running the tape over and over and over again. Did I give them what they needed? Did I give the clear directions? Did I remove the roadblocks? Did I see enough signs early to help them with this? The distinction that's going to save you, your job is to provide guidance, clear the path, and get your team what they need to succeed. That is your lane, and you can completely own it. But their results are not a referendum on your worth as a human being. You are not responsible for what people do with what you give them. I know this is heavy. Carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders every day, trying to be the best version of yourself as a leader, as an employee, as a partner, as a mom, as a dog or cat mom, or as a single woman. And all of that internal and external pressure to get it right has landed you on burnout road and becoming best friends with exhaustion. You're not failing. You're caught in a system that doesn't want you to win. It's designed to keep you burning out. You are not broken, but you are caught in a loop because you've always functioned this way. Owning the idea that working harder isn't working anymore, and what you've always done and the way you've done it isn't working either. This whole video is building towards helping you see where some of this is the system, some of it is learned, and some of it is self-inflicted. You cannot fix a broken system by absorbing all of this damage. One woman cannot dismantle what it took generations to build, but she can decide deliberately and daily where her responsibility actually ends and then where her self-blame begins. So this new awareness, or maybe revisiting this awareness because you know something isn't just right, is the only thing that you can start to change. What got you here was brilliant, but it's not going to get you where you want to go next or get off burnout road. If you're brave enough, if you dare to defy your upbringing, if you are ready to stop surviving the system and start using it to your advantage, and if you want to be in action instead of processing this with everybody around you and still ending up in the same place, I mean, let's be honest, it's way easier to complain than to do something about it. But here's what I know about you. You didn't find this video by accident. You're here because a tiny whisper inside of you is telling you to take a chance. Try something new. Maybe you are brave enough to take one tiny step off burnout road. And that one tiny step is owning your part. Not because you caused this, you didn't. The system is real and it's rigged. But inside that rigged game, there are patterns that you developed to survive that are now quietly working against you. And until you can see them clearly, you cannot change them. And this is the moment where magic starts to happen. Not in a massive overhaul, not in quitting everything like tomorrow, but in one moment of honest awareness that will change how you see yourself. So now that you know the 4 things of why you're tired, the question is, what are you going to do about it? You cannot rewrite corporate America today, but you can stop the personal patterns that are making an already rigged game even harder. I built the quiz called What's Your Self-Sabotage? It tells you exactly what pattern it's draining you the most. Are you a perfectionist? Are you a people pleaser? Do you like to have control? Or maybe you're a procrastinator? You get the answers, you then get a playbook to help you start reclaiming your energy immediately. The link is in the description. Go grab it while this is fresh. Not tomorrow, today. And I'll see you next time. Thanks for hanging out.